Welcome one, welcome all. Thank you for tuning into Cedar Radio, your guide to films playing at the Art House for the week of November 30th to December 6th. My name is Aaron Spears.
And I'm Dave Huffman. On this week's episode, we'll be discussing Ali Abbasi's Border and our Cedar 3 picks for Best Foreign Films of 2018.
We'll also be discussing the specialty box office. The Independent Spirit Award nominations came out. The enduring power of Free Solo here at the theater. A little mention of some French action heist films. And R.I.P. to two world cinema greats. Well, we always like to start off the podcast with the last scene first. So, Dave, what is the last film you've seen?
The last film I saw was Alexander Payne's much maligned film Downsizing, which I missed when we had it at the theater, and I was really anxious to see it because I love all of his films, and mostly the reviews for it were not that great, so my expectations were pretty low when I saw it. And as I watched it at home, I was like, I don't know why people hated this movie so much, because I actually thought it was all right. He was trying to do a little too much, but I actually enjoyed it, and it wasn't like funny satire like I think I was expecting it to be in some ways.
Well, the trailer kind of made it seem that way, like, and oh, look, they're all tiny.
It isn't that at all. It's a little bit more serious and certainly tries to tackle like every possible social issue, I think, in that film, more or less. But it's I thought it was all right. So
ambitious.
It's ambitious.
Yeah.
It's not, by no means is it one of his best film, but it certainly isn't bad. So
I actually caught it in theaters because the critic response, like there were a few champions of it that were critics like, no, you need to see it. And I was like, wow, an Alexander Payne movie getting panned like that. And again, tempered expectations. I went in and was like, this is a solid movie.
Yeah,
it was really enjoyable.
Exactly what I thought. I thought he was really good.
Christoph Waltz is a great Euro sleazeball kind of character.
I enjoyed it. Yeah. And I just enjoy anything that has Norway being so important in the storyline.
My last scene was Let the Corpses Tan from 2017.
I've seen that film.
Over at the Cinematheque this weekend. Wow.
Yep.
That was a fantastic movie.
Well, it is an extremely visual film.
Yes.
It is a film that has more style than it knows what to do with.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Every shot is like, why just have, just a regular medium shot when you could put the camera at a weird angle and have it doing something, so it is just every moment of that movie is a visual kind of thing.
And the big screen theatrical experience aspect to it was great because it starts off, the first shot is also literally a gunshot and it's jarring and it lets you know exactly what you're in for.
Well,
and the mix was great. Like it's throughout the whole theater and it really had a, I don't know, my gut reaction to it was like I just watched Reservoir Dogs or Holy Mountain for the first time. You're just like overwhelming.
It is
storytelling and visuals.
It is very, very, very visual, and I'm sad that I didn't get to see it in the theater because I had to watch a screener of it online just on my laptop, so I didn't have quite the same experience. But and it was one that we had. They had approached us about playing here at the Cedar but we just didn't have space for it, and it's such a strange little movie that it probably, for a city the size of Cleveland, probably didn't have enough of an audience to warrant 5 shows a day, 7 days a week here in Cleveland.
I mean, it screams cult right away. And maybe it would have been one of those things like Mandy, the Nicolas Cage film we played a little bit, where like the 9 round gets the people out to watch it, but I don't know. It's a hard sell because it's very bloody. It's a lot of fun. It's got shades of Peckinpah and all kinds of weird influences in there.
Yeah,
but I think it demands like a big screen, good surround sound experience. But it's a hard sell if you haven't seen the movie. And
I would say it's like Jodorowsky meets Tarantino.
Yeah. Oh, a bunch of Tarantino stuff. There's even a conversation scene, like you said, why film a conversation scene just, shot, reverse shot, where you can do these like sliding, back and forth, almost like it's some sort of a kung fu scene or something, but they're just talking across the table.
It's amazing that it works as much as it does because it could have been a mess whenever someone is trying to be a little too over the top with the style, cinematic style and stuff. So, but it really
fit the story real well, and it never seemed excessive in style to me. Like it seemed like they got the right tone for every scene that they were doing there. And I can't wait to watch that one again.
I enjoyed it as well. I'm sad I didn't get to see it in the theater.
At the Art House this week, we've got a couple movies. I want to mention Free Solo right away because it's in its 6th week of release and was our number 2 movie over the holiday weekend.
And actually, we're going to be opening it over at the Capitol Theater this Friday. So it'll be playing here at the Cedar and the Capitol.
I've seen in a long time where 6 weeks out it's getting additional theaters and screens. And
I just got an email from a customer yesterday that was a friend just told me you're showing Free Solo and I really want to see it. It's like, okay.
Yeah. Come on out.
So I directed her to like where and when it's playing.
Which again, it's another one of those, you get a feeling in the big screen. Like again, I mentioned probably 6 weeks ago, my palms were sweaty watching it because it's the big screen, it's the visuals, the cinematography is amazing, and it won Critics' Choice Documentary Award for its cinematography work as well, and deservedly so. Like it puts you, well, I can't say it literally puts you in his shoes because it doesn't, but it's enough that your palms are sweaty, and it's definitely a big screen experience. The other big opener was Green Book this weekend. Which did you get a chance to watch that one?
I have not seen Green Book yet.
I did see it, and it's the perfect movie that everybody should go see.
Gotcha.
Is how I would say it. I like a bit more of the let the corpses tan, aggressive,
a little bit more of an edge
stuff.
to it.
But this one is we've even joked about it on the show for probably since we started recording. People don't necessarily want to go see that movie about meth addiction or that movie about the gay conversion therapy being forced on a teenager. This one deals with very, harsh realities of racism in the Jim Crow South, but again, in a PG-13 way.
Right.
That's perfectly digestible and a very, sharp script. I would say the direction isn't that amazing. It's very standard direction, but it's their two performances. Mahershala Ali and Viggo Mortensen have that kind of that odd couple format where like they shouldn't necessarily cross paths just in general reality, but due to work circumstances they do, and they both grow a little bit because of that.
But it's won audience awards at Toronto and a bunch of other. So it is.
There's nothing wrong with it. It's just it's a very audience friendly movie that
people
it does
like
connect with
really
people.
like audiences love and embrace, and it did very well here at the Cedar Lee this weekend, and it'll be playing for quite a while.
I think so too.
Especially
and I think
as we go into the award season where it's a strong contender.
It's that perfect one if you're hanging out with your family over the holidays. You want to go see something. It's that mid-budget kind of movie that studios don't really make anymore. That's for adults who like a good story, good movie, and good acting. So,
well, good.
Definitely,
it's an
easy recommend. I would say.
Yeah, I will be seeing it. I just haven't gotten to it yet.
And there's also Viggo Mortensen. I do not associate him with any comedy, but he's got some really good comedic chops in some of the scenes in the movie. Like he turns it on and off real quick, and he's just got an easy charm about himself that's really kind of fascinating.
Well, cool. It's nice to see him doing something other than beating people up in a naked fight scene.
Okay, he's not naked, but he does beat some people up in this one still. So he throws a few punches in there. The Independent Spirit Awards came out 2 weeks ago. We recorded early last week, so we missed it.
We missed the nominations last week. So
in the Art House News this week, we wanted to brag a little bit at first because the Best Feature nominees for the Independent Spirit Awards 2019 are 8th Grade, First Reformed, Leave No Trace, You Were Never Really Here, all of which have already played at the Cedar Lee, and If Beale Street Could Talk, Barry Jenkins' new film, January 4th. Yep. So we are 5 for 5 this year on the Spirit Awards.
Indeed, we are.
Going into they also have the Best First Feature category, which as far as the Cedar Lee films that we played, we were 3 for 5 on this one. Sorry to Bother You, We the Animals, and Wildlife were all the nominations there for first-time directors. I mentioned early on in the podcast here, not this episode, but a previous episode, the John Cassavetes Award is always that one kind of award I watch at the Independent Spirit Awards because this is the up-and-coming filmmakers that made a movie for under $500,000 that if you watch the films that are nominated each year, you're going to get in on talent that's going to be around in Hollywood and in the independent film scene for years. Previous winners are the Safdie brothers, who did Good Time last year. They won very early on in their career. Ava DuVernay, Dee Reese, and Trey Edward Schultz, who won with Krisha a couple years ago, and then went on to It Comes at Night.
Yes,
last year, which was a fantastic film. So keep an eye on that category because it's always a harbinger of great films to come and great careers that are coming your way on the independent film scene. We also always like to check in with the specialty box office, especially this week because it's 2 movies that are highly anticipated for us here at the Cedar Lee this December. The Favorite came out in limited release. And I was laughing a little bit to myself when I saw the headline because it tied Suspiria roughly at like this 90,000 per screen average, which we were saying like, well, is Suspiria going to connect? Is it going to work? And
I have a feeling The Favorite will work a little bit better. It's a little bit more accessible. It's Yorgos Lanthimos, he makes really interesting, odd movies, and I
say not usually making accessible movies.
No, not usually. I was going to say this one seems like is more kind of art house, a period film and stuff. So it's, but no, his other films like The Lobster and Dogtooth is one of my favorites. So
that's amazing one.
He's a great filmmaker. And last year, The Killing of a Sacred Deer was like my favorite movie. So he is a filmmaker that I'm very excited about. Anytime he has a new movie coming out. So The Favorite is potentially my favorite of the year.
Oh, nice.
Look what I did there.
Right.
Oh, isn't that clever? And
favorite right now is scheduled for December 14th.
Mm-hmm.
Also December 14th, as we've been discussing on the show for weeks and weeks now, the Netflix film Roma is going to be out as of right now, 1 week.
Yes,
only?
as of right now, it's only a 1 week only run for December 14th.
Finally making it to Cleveland on the 14th. It opened on just a few screens this past weekend with a great per screen average, which this is box office history.
A theorized.
Oh, is it another theorized one?
Yes, because they didn't. Netflix doesn't release their grosses, so they had to do the thing again where they're estimating what they think it was. So.
Yeah, we mentioned that on, was it the previous episode or 2 episodes ago when people were trying to guess what the Coen Brothers movie did when it did limited release. I thought this one was an official, released in theaters, so dang it.
No, it's Netflix.
All right, so there isn't any Netflix theater history going on there as well. So, all right. We did want to make a quick mention that it's kind of rare in the art house film world, or in the world cinema world, where we lost 2 great directors in 1 week, which
we
is,
sure did.
There's an aging population out there of international filmmakers. It's bound to happen, but we lost Nicolas Roeg this week. And also Bernardo Bertolucci. Did you have a favorite of either of theirs to just do a quick shout out to?
Sure. Well, Bertolucci was never a filmmaker that I was that crazy about, but I do love The Conformist. I respect him, but
I just never really connected either with his stuff.
Usually, when I'd watch his films, like The Last Emperor just leaves me cold, and Last Tango in Paris I wasn't that crazy about, but I do think The Conformist is a great movie. And Nicolas Roeg, I love The Man Who Fell to Earth and Don't Look Now, which you had talked about a few weeks ago for your art house horror movie. Those are both great movies. And I forgot that he directed The Witches, and I love that movie. It's a fun, weird kind of kids film with a dark edge to it.
Yeah, knowing his filmography is a really odd choice for him to do.
But George Miller made Babe.
That's true,
sometimes surprising filmmakers make children's films.
Directed Babe 2, wasn't it? He produced Babe?
He produced Babe. Yes, you're right.
Sorry. Just to save the email corrections.
Yes, thank you. You're right. Mm-hmm.
I'm a fan of Nicolas Roeg's performance. It's a great, midnight cult classic kind of trippy movie with Mick Jagger, kind of early trippy gender bending kind of film out there. And I was always a fan of Bertolucci's Dreamers. It's not a great movie, but I've mentioned before.
I kind of hated that one.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
It's comes up again later on here in the episode, but I mentioned previously how I like when activism meets film is always kind of interesting to me because it's 2 worlds that I'm very passionate about. And that one has some good May 68 protest stuff going on as the backdrop to a crazy and wildly inappropriate love triangle that's going on in the Dreamers. So
that it is.
We will be right back with the new film, singular, opening this week here at the theater. We have that rare weekend here at the Art House where there's only one film opening, and that is Border, directed by Ali Abbasi, whose previous film from 2016, Shelley, nice little psychological horror thriller. Not necessarily that genre this time. Border is a customs officer who can smell fear, develops an unusual attraction to a strange traveler while aiding the police investigation, which ends up calling into question her entire existence.
And that's a wonderfully vague description of this film because this is one of those movies that the less you know about it, the better it is.
But then how do you sell people on...
The trailer is actually pretty good. It doesn't give away key plot points or anything. It just piques your interest. And it's so I would recommend watching the trailer for it.
We'll put a link in the show notes if you want to check that out.
Don't read too many reviews because it is sort of a film that I don't want to... I've seen it and I really liked it a lot, and I don't want to talk too much about the plot points because it gives away sort of the surprises of it and the weirdness of it. It is a strange movie. It is, it's built as a thriller, fantasy, sci-fi.
I keep hearing like folk tale kind of mixed into it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. No, fairy tale. Some people say it's like a modern fairy tale. So it is all of those things.
Yeah.
And but it's really well done. It's very interesting. I was a big fan of his first film, Shelley, and this was proving that he is going to be a filmmaker that I'm going to always want to pay attention to.
Yeah.
Anytime Ali Abbasi makes a movie, I will be there.
They're watching.
And I don't know if Hollywood has been picking up on him yet, or if he wants to just stay.
Interest.
If he just wants to stay and do his wonderfully weird genre-defying, movies over in Europe. I hope he does, because I will be watching them regardless. But he also might be the kind of person that Hollywood goes, you know what? I think he'd be the perfect person to direct the next Godzilla movie, because sometimes they do that.
Right.
Think, really? Okay. And take that paycheck. And I wouldn't blame him for doing it as long as he keeps making interesting movies like The Border.
Yeah, or something where he could bring his sensibility, to the genre here, or do something like that.
It's a really good movie. It is the Sweden's official entry this year for the Oscars, so it could be an Oscar nominee.
And it seems to be on a lot of critics' kind of like shortlist for like what has the most buzz and what has the most pull, which we'll get into shortly here with with our Cedar 3 picks this week. But this one is another one of those. It's in the news a lot right now in American film because Christian Bale gained a bunch of weight to play Dick Cheney in the movie Vice coming up later in the year. No, it is the end of the year. It's coming up shortly. Yep. And in this one, the main actress, Ava, she was asked by the director to gain like 20 pounds because she's playing a border security officer. She's like, I want broad shoulders. I want physical, like the look of authority. Well, she ended up gaining like 40 pounds for the role. And there's all these prosthetics as well. So she spent just like hours getting prosthetics and everything put on. And again, watch the trailer. It's a very interesting visual look to what they've created for her character. I haven't seen the movie. I'm intrigued. I have no idea what the hell's going on with this character. But it's not like a showy makeup. Like it's so realistic looking that I love the commitment to that kind of a fantasy realism.
It's driving me crazy not to talk about it.
Okay. So, well, anyway,
but it is. But it is interesting when you see someone who really is lost in that. I mean, if you look at a picture of her, what she is out of, just in any other film or, one of her publicity stills, and you go, wow, they did an amazing job.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
She did an amazing job transforming her body through, gaining that weight. So.
And the video intros we do at the theater for all the movies, I put together a little photo montage. You can see some before and afters to see like, oh my gosh, that's what she looks like in real life, because you don't see her in her natural state in the movie. She's playing this character.
She's that character throughout the film.
She mentioned in an interview how putting on that much weight, little things like it was harder to sleep because like you can't breathe as well when you have to eat like every 90 minutes to maintain this weight and bulk up this way. So I thought it was kind of fascinating there. Sweden also has an interesting track record at the theater where like these oddball movies that generally wouldn't get made in a Hollywood setting is like, oh, that's too weird. A Man Called Ove played a couple years ago and just kept going. I mean, it wasn't like blow the doors off hit, filling up 300 people in Theater 1 every week, but it was just this solid, like every Saturday we'd have, spread out like, 80, 90 people throughout the whole day coming to see it. And people loved it and saw it again and again, just this like old curmudgeon,
that was a very dry, strange little movie.
Which is probably one of those that's going to be like a Hollywood remake with Clint Eastwood or somebody, coming along at some point.
Bill Murray in it.
Or Bill Murray, Oh, actually, that would be kind of interesting. I would watch that one. But, with only one movie this week, we could slide right into our Cedarly 3 picks. So each week, we take inspiration from a new film on the art house scene, and we pick 3 films listeners should be watching to expand their cinematic world. This week, with only one movie, Ali Abbasi's Border, we figured, if Sweden thought this movie was so good that they submitted it for Oscar contention, and it is the end of the year, it's basically December at this point, it was time for us to start reflecting on 2018 and pick out some of our favorite foreign films of the year so far. Dave, do you want to start off?
I will start.
I did do mine in ranked because I do have, of the ones that I've seen, I do have a specific favorite. I don't know if you're just random or just 3 that you really liked.
No, I'll rank mine if we wouldn't do it that way. All right, so in third, in third place. Third place, all right. Of my favorite foreign films that I've seen this, and when we're saying foreign films, we're speaking foreign language films.
I'm sorry, that's correct. Yeah, not like films. I know like. The favorite is a British production for favorite foreign language films, as if we were the Academy.
All right. It's nice to finally get to vote for the Oscars. I
know, right?
It's what a thrill.
Now.
My first one is a film that hasn't played here in Cleveland yet. Actually, all of mine haven't played here in Cleveland. And it's Cold War, which is the official submission from Poland. It's by Pawlikowski, I believe is his last name.
Sounds right to me.
Pawlikowski. And it is a beautiful, strange, black and white, shot in 1:3:3 film that is...
I'm on board.
It's a love story about a music teacher who falls in love with his student, and they're complicated is the understatement of all words to describe their romance over, the next 15-ish years or so, as they, struggle with being in the, in a, Eastern Bloc country at the time.
Okay, so Cold War set.
Cold War set era. That's where the title comes from.
Then. All right.
And it's a beautiful movie. It's a sad story. It's a really good film, and it'll be playing here probably early in 2019 is, they'll probably be looking once the Oscar nominations come out and other things like that is probably when they're going to be releasing it.
Plus December's a little full for us as it is.
Yes, it is. But really it's a great movie, and I'd really recommend paying attention when Cold War comes out.
The same director did Ida a couple years ago, right?
Yes,
yeah, another great black and white film as well.
It's visually very similar. He has such a great way of composing things in that 1:3:3 frame. It's not just your obvious use of the frame.
Right.
And I love his intentional use of the bottom part of the frame.
Okay.
Where you just, it's just interesting.
I mean, as an English speaker, I'm looking there anyway for the subtitles.
Right,
so,
but it's really fascinating.
Okay.
Because a lot of people would be like, well, why is all this empty space on the screen?
Sure.
But it's there intentionally and for a real good reason.
All right.
So it's a really well-directed film. He's
Excellent.
a great filmmaker.
My number 3 for the year is a film I actually saw down at the Cleveland Film Festival this past spring. I didn't check ahead of time to see if it was released or might be coming up, but it's a film called Spore from, I'm going to give this a shot here, Agnieszka Holland. She directed Europa in Darkness. She's been working for HBO for a while. She did some episodes of The Wire. She did Treme. Fantastic director. This is the story of an elderly woman living alone on the outskirts of town, out in the wilderness, total like environmentalist, hippie kind of character. There's mysterious crimes and murders happening around town, and she has her own interpretation of what she thinks is going on because this town is a hunting obsessed town. Like even the church has antlers and mounted heads like all over the wall. It's pretty disgusting. And but her theory is that the animals are taking revenge for all this hunting. But she comes across as that crazy old lady who lives, on the outskirts of town, which is exactly what she is. And it's this amazing character study that has like this slow build that you're kind of along for the ride. And it has, I'm obviously not going to spoil anything here, but it has not quite like a full M. Night Shyamalan twist ending to it. But once they do the full reveal of what's really been going on, you're like, oh, that's really fascinating. And it's definitely saying something. But every scene along the line is either this awesome little character study scene or pushes the narrative along like, no, you are a crazy old, you are. But then, but she's not wrong in certain elements. And she has this different characters that come in and out of her life. And the way she interacts with everybody in the town and that, pleading with the police to please investigate. Friends of hers are victims here at this point. So it's not your traditional Hollywood thriller, but it's a great nature cinematography. Those like at dawn, the foggy meadow kind of it's a gorgeous film to watch. But also, once again, has a good environmental activism kind of theme going along there with it.
Well, you were wise to see it at the theater because it appears that it does not have a U.S. distributor yet. So Agnieszka Holland's latest film, it seems surprising since she's a major filmmaker that no one picked that one up.
Yeah.
And the next film on my list is Burning, the new film by Chang-Dong Lee, who is a past Cannes Film Festival winner for Best Screenplay for Poetry. And this film won a prize at Cannes, not the Palme d'Or, but did get a prize this year at Cannes. And it is a great kind of sort of a Hitchcockian thriller in some ways. And it's just a great movie. He's really one of my favorite filmmakers. When we did our filmmakers we're thankful for, if you hadn't put the restriction of it had to be American filmmakers on that list.
Well, it's Thanksgiving themed.
I know,
so
but I'm
it's
just
an American
saying,
thing.
Chang-Dong Lee would have been one of my filmmakers. Right. I love all of his movies. Poetry is beautiful. Oasis is one of my favorite movies. So if you haven't seen his films, absolutely seek them out. And Burning didn't play here at the Cedar Lee, but we are going to be playing it for a week, I believe, at the Capitol starting on December 7th.
Nice.
So that is coming up, and you'll have a chance to see this beautiful, great, strange.
Definitely big screen.
Yeah, it's a really good, lyrically paced. All of his movies are a little lyrically paced, but it's just a great movie, and it stars Stephen Yeun from
Sorry to Bother You.
Sorry to Bother You, and Walking Dead. That's what most people know him from.
Oh, that's TV. So, that doesn't count.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like that's what's kind of made him a star.
Yeah.
So speaking he's speaking in Korean in this one, but it is a beautiful, good movie. So I would highly recommend it.
I've been watching so much genre South Korean films like the last 2-3 years. Like I'm really looking forward to something that isn't like super gory or like about a serial killer or.
I didn't say that it wasn't that.
Oh, okay. Well, good. I'm happy then.
But it is not. Yeah, it's not super gory, but it is a really. It's a thriller, and you don't necessarily know what's happening.
It's one of those filmmakers like I'm in once I hear he's got a new one. So like I didn't look up the plot synopsis. I didn't watch the trailer yet. I just want to see it cold and
his name alone should be enough to make you go, I'm seeing that movie.
I'm there. Yep. My number 2 is one that did play here at the theater and was pretty well received by most people I talked to. And I was one of those like annoying the regulars like, no, you have to see it. No, you have to see it. No, you have to see it. And that is Let the Sun Shine In, Claire Denis' new film with Juliette Binoche, which it's one of those, in my head, I've just seen so many French movies over the last few decades of being alive and being a film geek that it's just such a quintessential French romantic drama comedy, because it feels like just this wandering plot where you're like, well, what does that have to do with anything? I'm like, calm down, just go with the flow. And eventually it does pay off. She, is like a midlife artist who's single, has a kid, and she's just kind of like on the dating scene, doing her art thing, doing the dating thing. And, you go on a date and sometimes you just don't click and you get that awkward, oh God, but you're still stuck there. And as the audience, you're stuck watching that scene. So you might just be like, oh, this is terrible. Why did she just leave? I'm like, well, she's being polite. She's, waiting it out. But you get to sort of see what the field sort of looks like for a middle-aged woman in Paris trying to find love. She definitely is in love with the idea of romantic love and wants, to find her romantic ideal as well. But she's also up for a fling if that's, what presents itself for that particular evening.
Well, she's a modern lady.
She is. She is. Juliette Binoche is just
she's amazing.
The definition of charming in this one. Like,
I love
she
her.
just radiates just joy and energy in this one, and it's such a fun movie just to watch.
You're right to describe it as quintessentially French as well.
Yeah,
it really is. It was a beautiful movie.
And Claire Denis is just, again, probably, if we're going like worldwide, one of my top 5 working filmmakers right now. Her next movie coming up, skipping from French, romantic artist looking for love movie, is called High Life with Robert Pattinson and Juliette Binoche in space.
There you go.
So, she hops all around. So I can't wait for that one in 2019.
Well, I have a feeling that we both have the same thing for our number 1 foreign film of the year.
Is it Roma?
It is Roma.
It is Roma. All right, there we go.
It's a movie that everyone needs to go to be. It's sort of the low-hanging obvious fruit.
But it's obvious for a reason.
We were lucky. We got to see it this last week, Aaron and I, at a press screening, and it was everything that people were kind of saying it is. So it is one of those movies that actually lives up to the hype. It delivers on what you wanted to. And the one thing that I kept, again, being kind of in the industry, one of the things that most people out in the world wouldn't know, they kept emphasizing the importance of the sound system for your auditorium for this. And I was like, what? Why would that matter? This is like a little quiet little drama,
domestic drama.
Like this isn't
1970
like an
Mexico
action movie.
Yeah.
Like, what does that matter? Until you see the movie, and then you realize he is using the sound mix in that film to such an amazing effect and really expanding the world beyond the screen in such a great way that it is essential, I think, to see it.
Some of it's just like head slapping, like, why hasn't anyone ever done that before?
Yeah, it really was great. And it's beautiful, lush, black and white CinemaScope. It's amazing.
Every scene you can kind of just pause and be like, I want that still hanging up on a wall. They're supposed to. Well, we'll get deeper into that once we're showing it. December 14th coming up
December
here
14th. And again, it will be streaming on Netflix, but this is definitely a film that deserves to be seen in the theater.
Very quick example of why you need to see it in the theater. At one point, they go watch a movie in a theater. Yes. And so picture yourself, you're in Theater 1 at Cedar Lee, big screen, the sound's great. And what you see on screen is just the movie they're watching. And then you hear a cough in the back left corner. And it mimics exactly the audio of what you get in a theater, even though that cough is, in that one speaker in the back corner. Then you hear like somebody rustling, off on the right-hand side. It puts you into that theater in Mexico City with the characters in a way that you're like, wow, why has no one done that before? Yeah. It's pretty amazing.
It's a beautiful movie. So I had a feeling it would be your number 1, and it's mine as well.
Yep. We do have a few special events we have several special events to inform you about before we sign off for this week. First up is an encore show from the Met. It is Julie Taymor's production of Mozart's The Magic Flute. One show only, Saturday, December 1st at 12:55 p.m.
And this weekend, we have our continuing Melt Bar and Grilled Late Shift film series with our monthly screenings of the Rocky Horror Picture Show. That is Saturday, December 1st at midnight. And then we're also showing our annual shows of The Big Lebowski. We always end the year with showings of The Big Lebowski. And that is going to be December 1st at 9:30 at midnight. And then December 2nd at 7 p.m. And then as a late edition added bonus, we're showing a new science fiction film called Prospect by Christopher Caldwell and Zeke Earl. And that is going to be playing Saturday, December 1st at 11:55 p.m. only.
The National Theater is back on screen with Alan Bennett's new play, Alleluia, which is on Sunday, December 2nd at 11 a.m.
And we have more theater in that we're showing the London Palladium's production of The King and I, and that is going to be Tuesday, December 4th at 7 p.m.
Fathom Events and G-Kids present the critically acclaimed new anime Mirai. It is the subtitled version on Wednesday, December 5th at 7 p.m.
And we have our ongoing Bolshoi Ballet. We are going to be playing La Sylphide, and that is playing Wednesday, December 5th at 7 p.m.
We do have a one-time only screening of The Mercy, James Marsh's new film starring Colin Firth and Rachel Weisz. It has a pre-recorded Q&A built in, so if you come out to the show on Thursday, December 6th at 7:30 p.m., make sure you stick around for the full show and get the Q&A as well there. On next week's episode, we'll be discussing the re-release, the 25th anniversary re-release of Steven Spielberg's Schindler's List. We'll also be opening Julian Schnabel's At Eternity's Gate and Tom Wolfe's Maria by Callas. Our Cedarly 3 picks for that week will be the best documentaries of 2018, so feel free to submit your picks for the best documentaries you saw during the calendar year of 2018 at Cedarly Theater using the hashtag Cedarly3. As always, thank you for tuning in to Cedarly Radio and lending us your ears this week. All the music heard on the show is original music written by Grant Heineman and performed by the New Heights Jazz Ensemble, used with their permission, of course. Visit clevelandcinemas.com for correct showtimes and to purchase advance tickets. Also, there are links in the show notes. You can use those if you'd like as well. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We are at Cedarly Theater, spelled with an R-E at the end because we're fancy like that. Don't forget to subscribe to the show wherever you find your podcast, and while you're subscribing, leave us a rating and review, or better yet, tell a fellow film geek about the show. We'll see you at the movies.